Shalom, shalom. Call law Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI Barakatash Barakatah Barakatah. It's your brother Obadiayahing, and we always want to give praise to the Most High, praise to the Father Yahawah BAHASHAM. Woo, man, things are really popping, and I love it, absolutely love it. Okay, today we have a lesson today, and I think it's going to be a pretty good one. At least when the Holy Spirit delivers, it's always good, right? And it's going to be kind of current. I like to try to touch on some of the current events that have happened for while we're going through the transitional prophetic process that the Most High has been bringing. You know, that's my coined phrase, the theme that the Most High gave me, which is TTP. TPP, Transitional Prophetic Process, TPP. Okay, today we're going to talk to a term that I think applies to very strongly to what's happening to this particular area of the world right now. Some people, of course, call it the Northern Hemisphere, or this this area of the United States. But in general, it's happening to all of the kingdoms of the world, because the Most High is not just specifically dealing with one kingdom. He's dealing with the entire planet, in terms of the entire earth, this entire plane. And so where I'm going to draw from today, of course, I'm going to go into the book of Daniel. But first, I want to kind of talk a little bit about what I mean in terms of MENE Tekel Upharsin. MENE Tekel Upharsin, and of course, in the Bible it translates MENE Tekel Peres, P-E-R-E-S. It's the difference between the Hebrew and, of course, the Greek in terms of how they put things in there. And of course, they try to do that to confuse you a little bit. But we're going to break it down, and to the best of the Most High gives us in our ability. And we're going to try to address it in a way that it'll be fruitful and beneficial for all of us. Okay? So we're going to do that. But first, what I want to do is I want to kind of talk about a few things. The Most High is cleaning off the land. What do I mean by that? And we're going to speak to Numbers chapter 35, verse 33 in reference to that as well. You know, he gave a majority of land to Shem's seed line through Jacob. He did not impart land the way that Esau Edom has portrayed it in his interpolations, whatever you want to call it. For the most part, and the reason why I say that is because Esau has ran around the planet, and he has pretty much raped, robbed, murdered, and destroyed the absolute earth in terms of everything. Everything he touched, clearly he puts in his hand, where he has to take it apart to understand how it operates. When the Most High did his architectural design of chemiluminescence, which is the building block that he came up with in terms of everything that Yahawashi, who they only call Jesus Christ, and the angels, the Elohim, and those rulers that were operating under the tutelage of the Most High Yahawah, they carved all of creation out of the chemiluminescence process. That also has been defined and understood and found out by the secular scientific world, of course, that is under somewhat the guise of Esau Edom. But okay, fine. They finally figured something out, but they still don't know the actual nuance of it all. But they got a clue. Okay, so you want to look that up, you can do it, and that would be beneficial to you as well. But I don't want to digress. What I'm saying is, the Most High has shown that he can clean the land, and he doesn't have to destroy it all. Historically, if we look at him and how his MO, his method of operation goes, when he dealt with the Egyptians, and any other occupying tyrannistic type nation, he always was able to clear them off of his land, or off the land that of course he owns, and the land that he is promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel, and without destroying the absolute land. Now see, a lot of my Achaean brother, they talk about, America going to be destroyed by nuclear fire. And, if nuclear bombs were to hit the surface of the planet, yes, of course it would take out people in terms of the inhabitants, but it would also destroy a lot of the actual life on the planet, like your trees, as well as just areas of the ground, the water. I mean, a lot of what the Most High is not angry with. He's not angry at the earth, the planet itself. He's angry at the wicked every day, as he says in his word. Okay, and so clearly he has always shown that he could remove the evil inhabitants without actually destroying his terra firma in terms of the beauty of it. Now, of course, he could replace it if he did destroy the land mass with any type of nuclear power or anything that was of that nature, including the laser fire and things that would come from the chariots. He can do that. He can replace it all. He can replace the whole planet if he choose to, with just thinking it right back into existence with the way that it operated, or just do the same thing he did with YAHAWASHI and the Elohim, the angels. So it's not that he can't do that. It's just that he doesn't say that he's going to destroy this entire planet. He said he's going to take care of the inhabitants. And we're going to speak a little bit to that, to Numbers chapter 35, verse 33, which he talks about cleaning them off the land without disturbing the land for the most part. And we'll get a little bit of that. But I just wanted to make this very apparent. Now, speaking about the land and what's going on, he's returning his land and all of the land. In fact, he's returning this earth back to who he promised it to in the beginning. He's not going to allow Edomitization to roll back up across the earth and reset and then come back and then do all this wickedness over again, or to perpetuate even more wickedness. He's not going to allow that to happen. And they come out and they speak about, well, we're getting through this caveman coronavirus as far as the first wave is concerned, and then we don't anticipate another wave until sometime in the fall of next year. But you know what? They don't control any of this. Obviously, once they set this thing in motion, this inorganic technology that encompasses both areas and nuances of 5G, as well as of different types of what I would call pharmakia that adds to it and then breaks down the functionality of the metabolism the Most High put in our bodies and the way He set us up. And by corrupting your metabolism with pharmakia and 5G technology and using all these inorganic attributes to attack the systems of human beings and people on the planet that the Most High created, definitely a deliberate attempt to try to wipe out the Most High's chosen people. Of course, we know that, even though they try to hide and disguise things all the time. But you can't hide anything from Him. And we're going to talk about what you can hide also in Psalms chapter 50. But again, here's the thing. By you trying to do that, Esau, Edom, all you're doing is turning turning this particular wickedness back on yourself. Any and every time you go about trying to push something that is so wicked and evil and diabolical onto the children of the Most High, he's going to turn it back on you. And this basically what you're doing is you're calling your own destruction, and you're naming your own poison by doing this. And you may not, and I'm sure you can't see it because you keep doing it, but you ought to learn from what scriptures say. The thing about it is the oligarchs of control of the planet that are giving control right now, Job chapter 9 verse 24, the earth's given into the hands of the wicked. They know this. They are very familiar with the scriptures. They know prophecy. They have researched this, and this is why a lot of them have just like pew, took off. They're gone. They took off to where they feel they can hide, but you can't hide from the Most High. But they felt like they're going to try to get away, and they don't care what happens to the inhabitants of the earth at this point, because they feel like they're secure and safe away from where things can touch them. But they're completely wrong. So anyway, by them doing these things to the earth, the Father is like, look, you think you're going to reset this wickedness back up? You're going to continue to do this? No, not by a long shot. So for the most part, as they rebel and try to do things like come back, oh, we're going to come back and we're going to go and try to reset everything back up, and we'll be back on top, and all the chosen people, the Most High, are going to be on the bottom, and we're going to keep them that way and do better this time. Nope, that ain't going to work. That's not going to happen. The Most High has measured your kingdom, and it is wanting. And we're going to talk about that in MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN. Okay, so that's where we're going to go in a few minutes. But I just wanted to get this part of the commentary in and just say this is what we're dealing with. There will not be a reset of wickedness on this earth. It's not going back to that. And that's all they're really concerned about is to try to continue to rape, rob, murder, steal, and pillage the planet for gold and silver and drugs. As we can see, for the most part, their God is gold, oil, and drugs. That's their God, God, gold, oil, and drugs. And that is very easy to see that. And they think that that's going to save them. Well, it's not. It's just not going to do it. Okay, so first what I want to do is, before we go headlong into my topic, which of course was MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN. That's going to be the title of the of this lesson today. We're going to go to the book of Psalms, and we're going to go to chapter 50, and we're going to read something from there, because I want to start in that with that chapter, and I'm going to read 16 through 23. Okay, so let's do that. All right, here we go. But unto the wicked, Yahawah saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Now, that's a couple of issues right there, right off the bat against them. One, the Father says, what but unto the wicked? So he's talking directly to Esau, Edom about the situation, because that's who is the wicked. They're already named, and you can go down and find more scripture in reference to how they're named. Because he even calls them the border of wickedness. So this is, and you can look up these things in these terms if you want to, and I think you should, because it's always good to do your homework. Okay, so the border of wickedness, but unto the border of wickedness, or to the wicked, Yahawah saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? So how is it that you could possibly declare what his statutes are? In other words, what are his laws? What are his principles of his laws? What are the functionality of his laws? How they should be applied, how they should be obeyed, and in terms of how they should be enforced? They can't, because clearly they can't find peace. They will never find peace. In the 6,000 years they've been here, they were never able to acquire peace. Were able to acquire technology that has given them the semblance of some kind of control, but never harmony and peace. It's just not there. So who are they? It says, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? And taking their covenant in their mouth is how they basically I would say they confiscated, they got a hold of our holy scriptures that was written by Hebrews for Hebrews, of course, transcribed and delivered by the Most High. And then they tried to take this covenant and speak it to the world as a universal platform, which it is not. All these religious practitioner systems of belief that are out here don't speak to the covenant of the Most High in terms of what his law, statutes, and commandments are. They do absolutely the opposite. They've turned everything that was right side up, upside down. Instead of doing instead of the Sabbath being on the day it's supposed to be, the seventh day, they do it on the first day, which they call Sunday. So Everything the Most High said that they shouldn't do, they change it all around. So they've taken the covenant, they've written themselves in, they've written heathens in. They're telling you that a fake white Jesus is accepting everybody in the world if they just choose fake white Jesus, and then they can be included in eternal life. See, they've taken the covenant and put it in their mouths and spewed it out, and it has become void in terms of what it is. Because if you ask any of them, any questions that you ask any of these religious practitioners of any of their belief systems, of all the 35,000 or more that are under the derivative of Christian belief systems, propagating probably more heavily from the Catholicism platform, but then even the ones that are Islamic or even Buddhism or all the rest of them, they all will tell you from the shadow of doubt that they're saying they're coming from what the Most High God is giving as truth. But in turn, when you go to the Bible, nothing that they do matches up with that. And they try to twist it so that it is, but it doesn't work. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward here. Okay, as he said, or that thou shouldest taketh my covenant in thy mouth, seeing that, Shalaki, seeing thou hatest instruction and cast my words behind thee. See, that's what I'm saying. They hate the truth instruction, and when we deliver it, and when Akim and the brethren on the highways and byways, as well as wherever they are meeting people, and they give instruction and give direction and give definition of the Most High's holy word in the scriptures that He's given to us, they won't take it. It says that they casted His words behind thee. In other words, they say, "Nah, that's not what it says." But see, they can never back up what they talk about. Okay, going forward, it says, 18, when thou sawest a thief, and thou consenteth with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. So basically, they absconded our truth, they stole it, they switched it, changed it, twisted it, and the ones who continue to use it, continue to steal it, and they consented with them, and has been partakers of adulterers. In other words, if you're committing adultery, that means that if you say that you want to worship the Most High, and this also includes some wicked Jakes and some wicked Hebrew Israelites also who are the same way, who consulted with the thieves and decided to say, I'll take a 501c3 and I'll take your money and I'll speak things, but I won't totally condemn who you are who's giving me this money. So that's the process of adultery to the Most High, because you act like you want to be part of what His truth is, but then again, you are double-minded and you are basically operating with your partner in evil, and that's what you're doing. That's why it says here, when thou sawest a thief, okay, who stole our words, stole our scriptures, stole our righteous culture, and thou consentest with him. In other words, you agreed with him being able to use it. And this is what these churches do as well. They agree with trying to incorporate their universal belief system that everybody can be saved and God loves everyone and He won't take vengeance on the world. You're consenting with a lie and has been partakers of adulteress, and that's what you're doing. You're being an adulterous individuals, and that's part of the process of your evilness and your wickedness. Thou givest thy mouth to evil. See, there it is. And thy tongue frameth deceit. And exactly what you're doing in terms of what I just explained. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother and son. So they know who the true Hebrew Israelites are. They know that they've kept us on the bottom. They know that they've formed a confederacy against us with all the nations of this entire terra firma, this entire earth, and they continue to perpetuate it and try to continue to push all types of devices and products in the world to keep us in sin, even though the Most High has been delivering our hand. And now the Most High has shut the entire system down, the entire earth down. They cannot go back to what they were doing before, and they're pissed off, and they want to go back to the way that they were before, and they can't seem to take it, and they're just losing their minds completely. Okay, all right, and so the Most High is not with them. They thought that He was with them, but He has not been with them. He had given them a blessing to have the ability to control for a while. They got a period of time, and that time is up, and they're trying to recover that time or get more time, but it's not going to happen. But they think that they will. And okay, this is what the Most High says here in 21. He says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silent. See, he let them get a break. He let Esau have his sword, all his weapons. He let him have the fatness of the land and all the joy of going anywhere and everywhere on the whole planet and acting as though he owns everything and it's all belong to him, and there's no possible way that anybody can stop him from doing whatever he wants. And he's pissed off that he can't go and do the things he wants to do now. Okay, he says, and he kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as thyself, such as one as thyself. In other words, you thought that the Most High was in total agreement with who you are, what you are, and the way you do things. Well, clearly that's not the case, but that's what you thought. Okay, now consider this, ye that forget Yahawah, who just disregard him, lest I tear you to pieces, and there be none to deliver. So basically he's saying, I had enough, I'm not playing, and you're not getting this earth back. It's going to my children, the Hebrews, the Israelites, the chosen people of the Most High, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's seed, not fake Jews, not converts. It's going to who he chose. And that's the only way it's going to go. He says here, okay? And he said, so, he said, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. So he's putting it all back. See, he's shutting the planet down. They're not getting this to recover this. They're not going to come out of this caveman coronavirus and then all of a sudden just, set everything right back up and be on top again. And if they talk about a second wave coming, let me tell you something. If they didn't pay attention to this situation, they didn't want to take care of this from the way this goes in the first time out, when the Most High is showing you a recompense, then guess what? This time around, it's going to be 10 times 10,000 times worse, right? Okay, it says, I will reprove thee and set thee in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget Yahawah, me, lest I tear you to pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise, glorify me, and to him that ordereth his conversation, all right, will I show the salvation of Yahawah. In other words, if you Hebrew Israelites will come out of these wicked churches and come away from this fake, false religious practitioner systems of belief and go back to the law, statute, commandments, and go back to the Most High, he will offer you salvation. He says he will show salvation of Yahawah, and you will have that. But if you don't come out, then he's going to do things to you that are going to be a real bad situation. Even if you go to Psalm 54, he says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Right? So the Most High is saying, you corrupted everything, right? Psalm 53, a fool hath said in his heart, there is no power, no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. And so Yahawah looked down from heaven and upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek Yahawah. Every one of them is going back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge? Question. Who eat up my people as they eat bread? They have not called upon Yahawah power. There were they in great fear where no fear was. For Yahawah hath scattered the bones of him that incapath against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because Yahawah hath despised them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion, when Yahawah bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. He's not letting them get this earth back. This earth is going to his children. And the more they fight against it, the faster this happens and the worse it's going to be for them. It's not going back the way that they think it was. It's just not going to happen. Now, I'm going to also go and show you here to Numbers. I'm going to Numbers because I want to read in Numbers chapter 35, because I promised you I would do that, because I want to talk about how the Most High planned to clean up things, because he can clean it up. All right. So we go into Numbers chapter 35. And I'm going to read this here. Tell you 35 and 35 and 33. Okay. So ye shall ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the blood cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. And then of course I'll read 34. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I am Yahawah the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. So what he's saying is, you raped, robbed, murdered, and stole this land. It's stolen property. You know it's stolen property. And the law of murder and stolen property, there is no statute of limitation on it. If you murder someone, and they've murdered multi millions of people, and just all over the place, they have to pay. And the way he's going to pay is, he said, with the blood of the ones who took and who did this. Okay, so he said real clearly, he said, so you shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it, Shalaki. So that's taking the inhabitants who did this. In other words, it's not saying, the Father's not saying, I'm going to destroy the trees and the animals and the land because you used those animals, trees, and land to destroy my people. No, you did it with your physical metabolism, your bodies. You Edomites did this with yourselves, your entities. So you, as the entities, have to pay with what you've taken. You've taken the blood and spilled it on the land. So now it has to happen back to you, because that's what the Most High said. So he's not looking at trying. Now, can nuclear fire destroy people without harming the land? That's kind of hard to do, because if those rockets hit all over this planet, it's going to destroy the planet. As I said, it's going to. So it's not just going to take care of the inhabitants. Now the Most High can take care of the inhabitants. He did it in Egypt. He took care of the inhabitants of Egypt. He wiped them out during the time when the Exodus happened, that were going after the children of Israel, and without hurting the land. He used the water. The water took out all of Pharaoh's troops, as well as Pharaoh ended up getting it himself. So bottom line is, the Most High can do it without destroying the actual terra firma. And that's where I wanted to go to 35, 33, so I can give you that example. Now we need to find out why, because the Lord is telling them they have to learn who He is and what He's about. So now let's go to Isaiah chapter 29, and we're going to read 14 through 24 at 29. Okay, so let's go there. 29, 14 through 4. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among the people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. And see, that's what you see going on right now. They don't know what to think of how things are going, in terms of, they thought they could put this particular disease and process on people in the world. You know, wicked ass Bill Gates is still trying to think he's going to immunize and put vaccines on everybody in the whole world. you have no idea what the Most High is getting ready to do to people who are trying to do some stuff like this. They have not a clue, but they're getting ready to find out real soon. Now, also, in conjunction with that, as we're saying, you know, they don't know who they're dealing with, okay? But the world will learn that they turned the whole world upside down. But now the Father will change all that around and change it all back and turn it right side up. And that's exactly what he's getting ready to do. And this is what he's trying to let them know in reference to Isaiah chapter 29. 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel. See, they think they could hide behind the things they're doing in terms of pushing wicked vaccines on people, using their technology inorganically to affect organic bodies and basically destroy your cell makeup and your functions in your immune system, so by doing the things you're doing. So woe to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahawah the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, question, and who knoweth us? See, they think the Most High don't see it, but he sees everything. His eyes and his sight is brighter than 10,000 times the sun, okay? Surely, roughly paraphrase, of course, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say to him that made it, he made me not? Question. Or shall the thing that's framed say unto him that framed it, he hath no understanding? So even if you turned it upside down, even if you think you can push this stuff across to the Most High's people and try to destroy them, you're going to find out that that's not what you're going to be able to do. Okay, let's finish. It is not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. In other words, we're going to be restored, and he's going to do it in front of their face. That's why he said in the beginning here that he's going to work a work. He said, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel, you know, and their counsel from the Lord. And he's going to work a work that they're not ready for, all right? He said, 14, he said, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among the people, even a marvelous work and a wonder, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. That was verse 14 of 29 of Isaiah. All right, going back down. All right, on 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear, and the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord Yahawah, and the poor among the men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. So the snare that's in the gate and the reproveth is coming. You see that he's not letting them turn this planet back up into evil. He's not letting them go out and do the things they want to do. Now they're going to try, I guess there's several governors and all kinds of people are defying what Trump is saying and talking about. Yeah, well, you know, we're going to start our economy back up. We're going to start our states back up, and we're not going to pay attention to this and this and that. And that's a very dangerous thing, because you're defying the Most High. You're mocking him. And when you defy and mock him, all you're doing is bringing more down on yourself, okay? All right, 22 of 29 of Isaiah. Therefore, thus saith Yahawah Power, who redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of my hands, in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear Yahawah Power, the power of Israel. So when they find out finally, because they're still stubborn, stiff-necked. We're talking about Edomites and Hebrew Israelites and just Hebrews who just don't want to pay attention, who are stuck in these churches and these wicked places of worship. They're getting ready to find out. You're going to find out what his real name is and who he really is, and it's coming. Okay? And then reading 24. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understand, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. So the doctrine they're going to learn is the truth here that we're giving them, and that a lot of the Yakim and the brethren are giving us and teaching on the highways and byways. And now, because of the wickedness of twisted information that they possessed and pushed out on the planet, they're trying to keep people in. So everybody's kind of doing things in this manner. We all kind of knew it was coming. At least I kind of knew it was coming. He was going to stay. He's going to eventually, Most High is going to shut all this down as well. Okay. So, and then now we're going to go to Daniel, and we're going to finish this out, because we're going to talk to the topic, which is, MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN, and got a little treat. We're going to show a little thing. It's a bunch of Edomites that are portraying themselves as us during the time when Belteshazzar, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, had the golden vessels of Jerusalem, and they were defiling them. And in the process of defiling them, the Most High, his hand, it was either his hand or a hand he had provided, wrote on the wall, MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN, and we're going to explain that and how that works now, because this is what's happening to this earth right now, and definitely written on the wall here in the United States, and they're going to be dealing with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick it up in Daniel chapter 5. And I'm going to start at, let's see. Well, I could go up there. I mean, I want to give some clarity to this so it makes some sense here. But I mean, I'll go ahead. I'll start at 17. Why not? Okay. Shalaki. Daniel chapter 5, verse 17. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, he's talking to Belteshazzar, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Okay, now to me, in this particular situation right now, I liken this to the daggone stimulus checks that are coming out. If people were smart, you know that this world and Esau don't never give you nothing for free. If he gives you something, he's coming for something in return. And he's wanting something in return if he gives you something, if you take it. Now, as far as the stimulus check goes, one was sent to me that I understood, but the government also took it. Okay, why did they take it? I never got it. And the reason why is because they said that I owed some money to the government as far as that system goes. So because if you owe some money to the government under any premise or circumstance, if they send you a stimulus check, they just take it anyway. So they're like, okay, we sent it. Then they send me a letter saying we took it. So screw you, Esau. Keep your stimulus check, just like Daniel says here. Okay, don't want your gifts. You keep them. All right. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. And this is what we're doing right now, and this is what I'm giving you right now, okay? O thy king, the most high Yahawah power, gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. Okay, so he didn't learn from what happened before. This country and everyone else didn't learn in terms of what their ancestors did before, or what other nations that had all the Hebrew Israelites in captivity. Every single kingdom that had us in captivity, from that golden statue from Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, to the Syrians, to the Persians, all of them been destroyed, all the way down to even the Greeks and the Romans. Except for now we have the modern day Roman Empire now, the new Holy Roman Empire through what you see now between Rome and the United States. But every kingdom was taken down. It was MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN. UPHARSIN. Yes, it was. And then we'll explain what that is. Okay? Okay, thy king and most high power gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him, whom he would he slew, and whom he kept alive. and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. Okay? Now, heathens are getting taken down because everything that they did has to go back on them. 20. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, he was poised from the kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. Okay? That's what happened. Remember, he put him out in the field and made him like a beast eating grass and everything else, right? And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast. And the dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen. See, I said that. And his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High, Yahawah, ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomever he will. So these Edomites don't seem to understand that the Most High is like, look, he appoints whoever he wants in whatever manner he wants, and he sets up kings and he takes them down. Okay, and thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knowest all this. In other words, you knew this, Belteshazzar, and you didn't humble your heart, okay? But hast lifted up thyself against Yahawah power, the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, see, and brass, and iron and wood, and stone, and oil, of course, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and Yahawah, in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. So you didn't even glorify the Father. They still don't glorify him to this day. They don't praise him. They switch everything up and do absolutely the opposite of what they say. Even in these so-called Christian religions and these religious practitioners around the world, they do not do what they're supposed to do in terms of honoring the Most High, even if they're not the chosen people. Okay? Then was part of the hand sent from him, from Yahawah, and this writing was written. And this is the writing, and was written. MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN. This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning Yahawah hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. In other words, he already numbered it, gave you 6,000 years, and your time is up. It's over. Okay? Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. He weighed and balanced your kingdom, your people, and you have been found wanting, which means you did not comply with what he wanted. Our Father is about balance. That's why people think, well, he's all love. No, he's about balance. He balances both sides. That's why he controls the left hand and the right. And he balances it, and he's going to balance it. So don't come up with this crap about he's just all love, because he's balanced. All right, and Euphrasin, or they got Perez here, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Okay? I want to break down some of that information about the Medes and the Persians to give you a little bit of insight on it, and throw some actual scriptures that you can look up to validate some of that information. But not only are the kingdoms divided, but he's talking about the entire earth is divided now, and that's why he shut it all down. And it's given to the Medes and the Persians, and that dynasty was very unstable in all of the different monarchs that controlled it, and that spread through quite some time, through 723 BC on up through 800 BC and on. But I'm not going to go into digress into a bunch of numbers. I don't want to confuse you. But at the same time, that's research that we will touch a little bit on as well. And then commanded Belteshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put chains of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belteshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And of course, Darius the Medes took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I got that said. And now I'm going to go into my Bible dictionary, and I want to pull out some information on the Medes and read it to you so that you can see what I'm talking about what I'm talking about these Medes and the Persians, and what's going to be like-minded in terms of what's going to be done through this area as well. Okay, so we want to make sure we read some of that. Okay? All right, so Shalaki, let me get to it. All right. Here we go. All right. Okay. As I said, I said we got some numbers here, but I'm not going to blind you with too many numbers because I don't think that that's appropriate, because if you haven't done any study to this level, you won't know, but I'm going to give you this information anyway, all right? Okay. All right. I'm going to start here. Of all the ancient Oriental monarchies, the Median was the shortest in duration. It was overthrown by the Persians under Cyrus in BC 558, who captured its king, Artaxerxes, and the treatment of the Medes by the victorious Persians was not that of an ordinary conquered nation. Medes were appointed to stations of high honor and importance under Cyrus. See, they had stations of various degrees, right, under Cyrus. The two nations seemed blended into one and were often find reference to the kingdom as that of the Medes and the Persians, as it says, Daniel chapter 5:28, which we were just reading, as well as chapter 6, verse 8 through 12 and 15. The reference to the Medes in the canonical scriptures are not very numerous, but they are striking. We first hear of certain cities of the Medes in which the captive Israelites were placed by the king of Assyria on the destruction of Samaria, BC 721. Remember I was saying 700. 2 Kings 17:6 and 18:11. Soon afterwards, Isaiah prophesies the part which the Medes shall take in the destruction of Babylon, Isaiah chapter 13 verse 17 and 21 verse 2, which is again still more distinctly declared by Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 11 and 28, who significantly indicates the independence of Media in the day. That's 25:25. Daniel relates the fact of the Medes and Persians conquest, Daniel 5:28-31, giving the account of the reign of Darius the Medes, who appears to have been made viceroy by Cyrus, Daniel chapter 6 verse 1 through 28. In Ezra we have a mention of Archimedes, Ibana, the palace in the province of the Medes, where the decree of Cyrus was found in Ezra chapter 6 verse 2 through 5, a notice which accords with the known facts that the Median capital was the seat of government under Cyrus, but a royal residence only, and not the seat of government under Darius. Finally, in Esther, the high rank of Media under the Persian king, yet at the same time, its subordinates' position is marked by the frequent combination of the two names in phrases of honor, and and presidency being in every essence under the assigned to the Persians. In other words, so they always seemingly basically mention, when they say the Medes, they mention the Persians. So the modern day Medes and Persians today, we're going to be talking about Iran and the area of Iraq, and of course we want to include Russia. So this is what's coming in terms of, but the land is going to be turned back to the Hebrew Israelites in totality, because that's what the Most High has decided He wants to do, and so they're not getting this kingdom back. So now I want to just kind of show you a little bit of the depiction of these Edomites dealing with MENE TEKEL UPHARSIN, and then we're going to close this this subject out. So just Shalaki, give me a second here to get this set up for you, and then we will get to that here. I'm going to get it on first here, because I know that it's not really, to me, it's not really a good representation of what of who we are, because during this time when these particular individuals were when these Edomites were on the scene, they weren't in this area of the world in Africa. These were really supposed to be all us, all people of dark skinned, but again, you know how they are. They're gonna use lies. So let's see what we got here. Here we go. Writing on the wall.
Bring me the golden vessels from the temple of Jerusalem.
But my king, is it wise to use the vessels?
My king, these cups are considered sacred. Are they not, my king?
Perhaps in Jerusalem!
But here they are spoiled for our gods, and they would have me use them as I see fit. Bring them!
Edomites, man. Freaking trip.
Yes. You see these vessels? In Jerusalem, they were used for the worship of their god. Now, instead of the blood of bulls and rams, let them flow with foaming wine. For I am not a devourer of blood. I am a devourer of drink. And choice fare. To Marduk, the god of our city. Marduk! And to our idols of gold and silver, bronze and iron, wood and stone, partake of our pleasures and protect our city. Whoever reads this and tells me what it means shall be clothed in purple and have a gold chain placed around his neck and be made third highest ruler in the kingdom.
And all the king's wise men came in, but they could not interpret the inscription or tell the king what it meant. So Belshazzar became even more terrified.
The Judean once told Nebuchadnezzar, your forefather, of his dreams. He succeeded when everyone else had failed. This man, Daniel, whom the king called Belteshazzar, he could tell you what this writing means.
Does he still live?
He does.
Bring him to me quickly, but do not harm him. We shall soon learn if this Hebrew can do as you say.
Nothing, it would seem, is too sacred not to be profaned under the influence of wine.
Nothing. How can I be of service, Highness?
Are you Daniel? One of the exiles my father brought back from Judah.
I am he.
I am told you are able to give interpretations and solve difficult problems. If you can read the writing on that wall, you will be clothed in purple, have a chain of gold placed around your neck, and be made third highest ruler in the kingdom.
Long ago, I told your forefather, Nebuchadnezzar, that I would speak to him only the truth, and that if he rather not hear it, he should ask me nothing. Perhaps it would be better if you asked me nothing.
No. It is unseemly for a king to be baffled by a message in his own hall. No human hand has scribed it. No other tongue can interpret it. Tell me what it means. Be it for good or ill.
O King, the Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar greatness and glory. But when his heart became arrogant, he was deposed from his throne and stripped of his glory, until he acknowledged that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men. Even though you knew all this, you should have appealed to him. Instead, you set yourself up against the Lord of heaven. You had the goblets of his temple brought to you and praised the gods of bronze and iron, wood and stone instead of him. These vessels were made for the service of the Most High, and you have used them to pour wine for your harlots. Would you humble the Almighty by desecrating his possessions? Would you bind him like a captive and beat him like a slave? Would you pluck out his eyes and have him beg for scraps of food beneath your table? This you would do if you could, and the Almighty knows it. This is his answer to you. The Lord God will strike you down like an enemy, for he has bidden his angel to unsheath his sword. These, then, are the words he has written. MENE. God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the scales and found wanting. BAHASHAM. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. This very night, your life will be demanded of you, and before the sun rises, your flesh will grow cold. Thus saith the Lord, your line is ended, your rule is over, your kingship is known.
Is there nothing to be done?
Now, in your arrogance, you have doomed not only yourself, but your house, your line, your inheritance, your city, and your kingdom. Choose now where you will spend your last few hours, but knowing your fate, who now will love thee? Who now will fear you? Will the least of your slaves comfort you, or will they desert you, seeking to avoid the fate which is yours?
Let it be as I have commanded. Let this man be clothed in purple, a chain of gold placed around his neck. For I am not dead yet.
verses 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
All right. As you can see, and I wanted to make sure you heard that because that needed to come in there at that particular time. Well, that's what we understand about MENE Tekel Upharsin. This country, this earth, it has been judged. It has been weighed, and the balance is due. And the Most High is collecting. And there is no way you can pay for the things that you've done except for what he expects from you. And that is, you have to pay with what you did. The measure has to come back to you. Ain't no more time left, folks, to be messing around at all. There's no other way out. And Edomitization is not coming back up. So I hope this lesson was beneficial and edifying to you. If it be the will of the Most High, YAHAWASHI, I'll bring you more. I'll bring you whatever he decides he wants to bring forward. But in any event, I hope this was something that you could pass on and share with your family. And then maybe they'll get some enlightenment. Maybe they'll come out. We don't know. But anyway, that's it for today. And Shalom and Baba Ball.